Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to the live stream recording of Hearthstone. Today is Sunday, April 23rd, and we've got a few things to do, but not that much. Just, let's see, we need to get 3 games with the Warrior done and we're about done. I'm just gonna try to go through all the news here and finish up. Seems like Sundays are the wrong day to stream, but I can't really do anything about that. Like, timing is inflexible with the daily challenges. So, some live streams are simply just not going to happen. The only thing I could probably do to get more people online around this time is to schedule things and then be really off on the schedule. And so let me know in the comments if people would be cool with me scheduling things at like 2 p.m. and maybe not starting till 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., like 3 hours late. Like, I know that a considerable amount of people probably wouldn't be cool with that, but maybe I have right now in my small audience a more tolerant fan base than what I would assume normal people have. Last thing I want to do is be one of these YouTuber creators that is every now and then making a blog. Like, Craner is really bad about making blogs about how some of the trolls are trolling him and saying mean things and complaining, and I'm like, wow, well, you've proven you don't have a thick enough skin for being on YouTube. The creator of Minecraft, similar way, got upset and sold Minecraft to Microsoft, which hasn't proven to be a terrible decision yet, but I imagine it is going to eventually. There are other people that just complain about their audiences when they're late, and I'm like, I don't want to complain about my audience. It doesn't help anything, first of all. Like, I might address an occasional troll or something, or spam messages, but I don't want to say my entire audience is so negative because I'm just personally seeing only the negative things. If anything, in reality, for my channel, personally, I have gotten a lot of supportive messages. Now, I do take a grain of salt with that because a lot of these supportive messages also seem like they might be spam bots that are just spamming nothing, but they'll say things like great video, keep it up, and I'm like, okay, I'll like that. Maybe there's some scam I don't understand, where by me thumbs upping and saying thanks to people that say great video, keep it up, it gives some legitimacy to those channels that then they flip a switch and half the time they're a spam bot and half of the time they're not. But I don't know. So, like, in general though, my channel as far as comments and stuff is great. Let's try to get some things finished here. The ESA game industry has come out with some numbers that should be taken with a grain of salt. That basically they've said that 97% of whoever they surveyed, which I suspect they surveyed a very high-tech type households, not households that are in Africa and don't have electricity. I don't know what's going on here. I have like nothing else streaming, and there's no reason why I should be having bad internet at all. Like, nothing is going on right now. Like, so I don't know if this guy has a bad connection, but it seems like we're kind of getting bad connections everywhere. So they say that 97% of households have a PC. I find this number extremely high. Even if it was 80% of United States households have a PC, it seems kind of high. frankly, I would say that they're not breaking it up by the laptops, and they're not eliminating households that have a PC sitting in a closet somewhere, and they might even be adding in things that you typically wouldn't actually consider a PC. That's the only thing I can really figure, because 97% seems way too high. Now, personally, I need a backup PC, I've determined, because my gaming laptop won't turn on at all. The battery's so shot, and it uses so much power it can't run off the plug by itself, apparently. I have a really, really old laptop that won't die despite everything I'm trying to do to it. And I have my server, which is running Linux, so it's no use as far as a gaming thing. Ideally, what I need to do is prematurely build a new gaming PC. I think I want to go with some faster RAM, because it turns out the RAM I have right now isn't really going much higher than DDR4 basics. None of the Intel Extreme media profile stuff, the XMP, which is kind of the sanctioned overclocking of DDR4. I kind of wish would like to wait till DDR5 came out, and I imagine the speed standards on that are going to be a lot higher. But then also there's this whole 3D memory that they're going to put into the next generation of NVIDIA graphics cards, and if you could get 3D memory in RAM, then maybe you could get a lot faster than even what DDR5 is potentially promising, although all of that's going to be a while away. To get back to the numbers, they say 81% of households have smartphones. I think that's somewhat believable. The number's still too high, but it's not insane to believe that one. 61% have, let's see, what is this, what I wrote? Wireless devices? Like, I don't even know what they mean by wireless devices. Is that 61% have tablets, or Nest thermostats, or both, or laptops, or Rokus? I mean, by modern standards, a wireless device could be almost anything. Like, if you have like one of those home things, the Zigbee or Z-Wave, shortwave, Internet of Things device, is that a wireless device? So, without more description, I don't know what they're including or what they're not including. Let's see, 48%, I believe, I don't know if I wrote that correctly, of people have game consoles, and that number seems particularly too high. Like, I just can't believe that almost 50% of every single household has a game console in their house, when in the United States particularly it seems like easily 1/3 to half of the households won't even have children in them, or anybody younger than their 50s. Like, there's a lot of old people out there, and I don't think the old people in general have a game console. But again, if you're including people that have Ataris in the closet, then yes. My grandfather did have an Atari in his closet for that I assume he purchased for his grandchildren, the first of his grandkids. So he had it in his closet for many, many decades, but he certainly didn't play it himself. Or he maybe played with it once. So if that's what you include to get you to 48%, that's true. Now, the much better statistic is if they could say Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, maybe a Wii U, and a PlayStation 4. If you specifically said 50% of the people had one of the current generation consoles, that would be an amazing turn of events. But that's not what it says, and I don't really think I'd take it that way. 22% of households have handheld game systems. That number almost seems right, but there isn't a handheld game system out right now, so you're talking like the new 3DS is the most recent one if you exclude the Switch. If you include the Switch, then do you include the Switch as a game console and a handheld game system, since it does both? But again, yeah, I could see the number being even higher than 22% if you're including people that have a Game Boy sitting around somewhere. Part of the problem here is definitely I wouldn't have a clue what is normal, since I have in my garage an entire collection of Nintendo things. So I'm pretty sure I have at least one NES, if not two. I have at least two Wiis. I have, and they're all sitting in the garage, so they may all very well be broken. I have two Xbox 360 sitting in my house, not actually in the garage. I have a PlayStation 3 sitting right in front of me. I think I got a Super NES at some point, but I may have missed out there. And let's see, Nintendo 64 should be out there. What am I doing? I'm not even gonna look. I'm just gonna do this and see what it was. Copy the attack and health. Okay. So yeah, I have an arcade machine that's broken. I have a Donkey Kong arcade machine sitting in my house that I need to get rid of. Don't get arcade machines. They're very expensive for what you get. They're not very good. Maybe I guess now that I'm thinking of Arduino and Raspberry Pi ideas, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to consider possibly just converting it completely. But then the Donkey Kong controller setup is not good, and I'd have to put an LCD in it, and it would be quite the project, more than what I could probably successfully pull off to just make a main cabinet. What do I want to do? Well, I'm only trying to win here, so because I'm trying to win, well, let's actually try to win. And then they say 11% of households have VR if you include Google Cardboard, which I've seen that number before, and it was less than 1% of people have actual VR systems. And so I don't think that they've gone from the 1% stat, which is I think what I saw before, to 11%. In fact, even if you include Google Cardboard, VR capable phones, I think that they're including phones that could use Google Cardboard, not just people that actually have it, because it's kind of hard to even get it. I tried like twice to get somebody to send me a Google Cardboard thing, and it didn't ever show up. But that's not typical for me. I'm still waiting on rebates from decades ago that are never going to show up. So yeah, those numbers don't really help anybody other than to say the industry is better than it probably is. And there seems to be a sampling size and a sampling bias here. Almost certainly, it doesn't feel like a legitimate survey. Moving on, YouTube is working on restricted mode. They promise more transparency. This is the point where I've written down I should laugh hysterically, since YouTube is never going to be transparent and they have no interest in it. Things that'll get you restricted. They came out specifically. Drugs and alcohol, talking about or using drugs and alcohol will get you restricted. But apparently not tobacco, according to this. Talking about or depicting anything about sex will get you restricted, including educational films that are too descriptive. So if you do a comprehensive educational film about sex, you're restricted. If you do a short overview about sex, you're probably still going to get restricted, but you shouldn't have been. And that's really where all of this is going to come down to, is you're still probably going to get restricted, but maybe you could appeal it and they might give you back the ability to monetize. Or I don't even know if the restricted has anything to do with monetization. No, it doesn't. It just has to do with whether it shows up in restricted mode, which again is only really for if you're going to a highly religious school, I could see schools forcing restricted mode on everybody, particularly elementary and junior high schools. I could see schools also probably doing the smarter thing and just banning YouTube in total, or whitelisting videos, so that, like, if you're a small enough school, I wouldn't be surprised if you had just all of YouTube blocked and only specific links to specific videos were whitelisted, and the teacher had to either call or email tech service to whitelist any video they wanted to see. Like, that would probably be the better way than doing restricted. But on the sex aspect, like, if you really want to know informative information and you're behind this restricted filter, well, you're not going to get it. And that's going to not end well. Violence, including news and natural disasters, will get you restricted, which pretty much means that you can't do any news reporting at all, because tornadoes, hurricanes might get you restricted, or talking about any violence at all, any crime was specifically mentioned. Mature subject matters such as terrorism, war, crime, political conflicts that lead in violence, so riots, I would assume, or I don't know, maybe revolutions. So any news reporting at all is going to get you restricted. Using profanity or mature language will also get you restricted. So I don't cuss that much, so most of my videos wouldn't get restricted on that case. That being said, last time I looked at restricted mode on my channel, I think it kind of did exactly what they're saying it was going to do. And because I kind of understand that restricted mode is for rated G people, that the idea is restricted mode shouldn't be used if you're going to, like, the University of Utah, with the Mormon University of Utah, and everybody's a Mormon, and they're extremely conservative about things like that. That's not what restricted mode is for. It's not for college people. It's not even for high school kids. If you're treating high school kids with such filtering and kids' gloves, then they're not going to be prepared for the real world. Part of this too is the profanity thing. Is like, if you're an 18-year-old and you go, oh, you can't use cuss words. Cuss words are bad. you're going to go work in a job and your coworkers and possibly your boss is going to cuss immediately, and you're just going to be so unprepared for that and unrealistic that like you won't be able to deal with people. Communication, including cuss words, is part of the adult lifestyle. So adults do cuss. And if you are filtering young adults from that is ridiculous. Restricted is for 2-year-olds. It's the G rating. It's probably the same algorithms, which that's what they said they fixed, was the algorithms that YouTube Kids is on. If not, if it isn't, that YouTube Kids itself is even more restrictive. Their response, YouTube's response here is so centered around the fact that the LGBTQ communities got filtered in there, and you know what, they're still going to be filtered. They're just going to be a little bit filtered less. So
take this.
So yeah, they're still gonna get filtered because they'll be talking about sex or sexual identity and mature topics. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still not G rated.
Almost out of cards. I'm out of cards.
And like, I don't think it's particularly helpful when talking about mental conditions such as gender identity or sexual preference, that random people on YouTube who have been known to spout off a lot of nonsense that's not right, or not accurate at all, it probably isn't appropriate to let a 2-year-old follow and see those videos. There's a difference between sharing your opinions on a subject and then teaching your opinions to random people, random strangers' children. And so at the end, when you look at the restriction mode as a G-rated thing for 2-year-olds, I'm still not super upset about it. Now, I want to go back now that they've said this here, I'm about to lose, and see how many things are restricted online. Like, I can tell you that probably Honey Pop most definitely should be filtered. Some of these scarier games that I've personally age-gated, which I plan on unage-gating eventually. This one already has taunt, so I'm gonna do this. Like, some of those scarier ones should be filtered out, but how do they know how to filter those out? Borderlands probably is too violent, so it should probably be filtered out. Half of the point-and-click adventure games have sexual themes, like Hector, that is airing right now, should be filtered out. In fact, almost everything should be filtered out. Like, unless they can actually tell that I'm talking about something offensive in the Hearthstone, they should be kept in. The Lego games should be kept in, but even the Lego games, I'm going more towards the parents, suggesting to the parents they should buy this to the kids, not suggesting to the kids that they should get their parents to buy the games. And particularly on PC, I'm not suggesting anybody buy the Lego games because that's not helpful. Because they don't run well. Play 30 menus that cost 2 or less. This is an interesting one. I guess we now have to just do Murloc deck, because those are the only decks I think I have labeled that would have something there. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if of the 5 or 6 videos that come out every Monday or Friday in restricted mode, it's just Lego, and that's it. Lego and Hearthstone if we're lucky.
I will fight with honor.
And I'm cool with that. Like, I don't think I'm losing advertisements because, or ad revenue because of restricted mode. Part of the problem here is restricted mode came out right also when they did the adpocalypse, and because of that people are thinking, well, although restricted mode came out a little bit earlier than that, but I think people are thinking that they're losing ad revenue because of that when they're just losing ad revenue because of the family-friendly guidelines for monetization, which is a lot worse of an issue. And it's probably similar algorithms, but they are separate things. Although this might also just be a divide and conquer strategy of YouTube, is that they'll introduce 5 different things that are all bent around the idea of reducing the money of people who are slightly controversial, and then they're saying, well, it's the restricted mode over here is cutting out half your money, and the ad-friendly guidelines are cutting out your other half of the money, and the ad apocalypse is cutting out another half of your money, so now you're down to ridiculously small amounts of money. That certainly seems like it might be a possibility in itself. Again, though, because of the way my channel is so new, although I'm almost up to 200,000, it's not really affected me, the adpocalypse. But then again, also my channel's never made enough money to be a living wage, not even close. So one of the thoughts there is if I actually did need income, I would have to become like some of these other people and do automatic mid-roll ads, like, and that can be a lot, like every 5, 10, 20 minutes an ad, and I don't really want to do that because that's super annoying. People know it's annoying. I find it annoying when I'm looking at people's YouTube and it's just break after break after break, and see, I'll click on the screen on my phone and it just shows these little orange squares, and I'm like, each one of those is supposed to be an ad break, and it's like, oh no, this is a pain. So moving on, though, the PS4 version of Sexy Brutal has a first run manual error in which the manual was just assembled backwards. I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't happen more often, honestly, because I guess that a lot of that has to do with the fact that there aren't that many manuals getting printed these days, but I guess you would think printing errors that are big time and noticeable would happen often. Although I guess maybe most printing shops have better quality control, and so they would give the manual to somebody and have them actually look at it first. And it seems, if it's assembled backwards, that seems like some Asian country that, or Middle Eastern country that writes and reads from right to left assembled it and didn't notice that it should be left to right, or I don't know what else. How else you could even get that? It seems like some real big oversight there for a simple task. One of the South Korean presidential candidates has given out free StarCraft maps to promote himself, which is interesting. Is StarCraft being very popular in South Korea. That is a big reason also why the StarCraft remaster is coming out of StarCraft 1, because people are kind of tired, I heard, at least, of StarCraft 2, and Blizzard doesn't want people going over to like something they don't control, which I think they don't control, League of Legends, which is where a lot of them are going. So they're giving away the original StarCraft for free, and they're, on top of that, having a remastered 4K version for people who really love the game and want to invest. And so they're making a little bit of money while keeping the fan base and the player base high. And see, I only need 3 more creatures to be played. Like 3 more minions to be played that are 2 or less. And that's it. So this is going to be the last chance for anybody to talk on the live stream or comment, because if nobody shows up in the next recording, we'll just be done, which is fine because I've been very bad about recording other things and having extra time to get to work. In fact, this is exactly what I said last live stream, is that I need that extra time to work, and then I barely even got around to working, so I'm not even being very good at it there. My intention is always to work, whether I fall asleep in that attention or actually get some work done is always the question. Stay tuned if you're watching live. Everybody else, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.